Hello, product builders. Welcome back to Product Mastery in the Age of AI. I'm your host, Madhumita Mantri, and today I'm diving deep into practical guide to turn your product requirement documents into working prototypes, specifically for data products. Whether you are building an analytics dashboard, an ML powered recommendation engine, or a data pipeline, this episode will give you the exact framework I have used for different data product launches at companies like LinkedIn, PayPal, and Startree. Here is what makes today's episode special. I will explore how to leverage generative AI not just as a tool, but as a way to strengthen your product sense while prototyping. Product sense is that crucial overlap between empathy, creativity, and domain knowledge, and today we will see how AI can amplify that. By the end of this episode, you will know exactly how to extract the core value proposition from your PRD, product requirement document, create a minimal viable data schema, use AI tools to accelerate your prototyping and strengthen your product sense, test your prototype with real users, and iterate based on actionable feedback. So, let's turn those documents into demos that get your stakeholders excited. And today's episode, I have used Google's Notebook LLM, and now onwards, you will hear the Notebook podcast audio, and the script is written by me. So, hope you enjoyed this episode and hope to meet you in my future podcasts. Thank you for listening and stay tuned and listen to the rest of the episode that will be covering everything that I just mentioned. Thank you.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something really crucial for anyone building data products.
Yeah, we're looking at how you go from those, static product requirements documents, the PRDs,
Yeah.
to actually creating working prototypes. Think
Right.
of this as like your practical guide, a shortcut even, to making those ideas real and doing it efficiently.
And it's not just about building faster, though, as part of it. It's really about building smarter.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to explore how you can use generative AI in this whole process.
Right, and not just as like a code generator.
Exactly. More as a way to genuinely sharpen your product sense.
Yeah, that term product sense. It's key here. For anyone wondering, product teacher defines it really well.
How's that?
It's that intersection, where empathy for your users meets your creativity in finding solutions, plus having solid domain knowledge.
That sweet spot.
That's it. So by the end of this deep dive, the goal is you'll know how to pull the real value out of a PRD.
Okay.
How to define that, like, minimum viable data schema you need.
The essentials? Right. How to use AI tools not just to speed things up, but to actually boost that product sense.
And then,
And then critically, how to test your prototype with actual users and get feedback that's, useful.
and iterate. Make it better based on what you learn.
Precisely. So let's dive right in. First step,
Hmm.
taking that PRD and really deconstructing it.
Yeah, breaking it down, there's this common view, isn't there, that a PRD is just, well, a document for stakeholders, for sign-up.
Totally. But we need to reframe that. See it as the initial blueprint for your prototype. It's got the raw materials.
So how do you sift through potentially dozens of pages to find that blueprint?
Okay, so to help with that, especially with those long docs, I use this framework I call VIBE, V-I-B-E.
VEE. Okay.
Think of it as a filter. Helps you zero in on what's truly critical right now for the prototype stage.
Yeah,
Avoids that analysis paralysis.
I like that. So VBE focuses you on the core. What do the letters stand for?
Right, so V is for value hypothesis. Simple, right?
Mm.
What's the core problem this thing solves, and who is it really for? Your specific users.
Nail down the why and the who. Got it.
That I is information architecture. This is
Yeah.
about deciding what data is absolutely essential for the prototype.
Versus the nice to haves.
Exactly. What must be there to show the value? What can wait?
Okay. VI, what's B?
B is business constraints, the real world stuff. Your timeline, budget, any technical limitations you're stuck with, got to be realistic.
Super important. Can't prototype in a vacuum. And E.
E is experience outcomes. What specific things should a user be able to do with this prototype? What results tell you it's working, that it's hitting the mark?
So it's about defining success from the user's perspective.
Yeah, it's a really structured way to cut through the noise.
Can you give us an example, like a real project where you used VBE?
Absolutely. Yeah, I worked on this thing, let's call it the Analyst Insights dashboard. The PRD was a beast. Seriously, 37 pages.
Wow. Okay. Typical scenario, maybe.
Right. So VBE helped us boil that down to basically a one-pager for the prototype.
So what was the V, the value?
The value, the V was clear once we looked. Marketing analysts were spending like 7 hours a week manually pulling performance reports. Just drowning.
Okay, big pain point.
Huge. The I, the essential information. Turned out we only really needed 3 things for the first pass.
Yeah.
Campaign spend, conversion events, and the attribution timeline.
That's surprisingly focused.
It was. B, the business constraints. We had a tight 2-week deadline for the prototype.
Oof.
Yeah, and it had to plug into the existing data warehouse. No new infrastructure for the prototype.
Standard constraints. And the E, experience outcomes.
The E was simple. Could an analyst generate one of those reports in under 30 minutes? And was it accurate, say, 95% compared to their manual way?
That's really concrete. You know exactly what you're testing.
Exactly. It's amazing how much clarity that brought. You cut through all the potential features and focused on validating that core job to be done.
Yeah, it shifts the focus, doesn't it? From just documenting everything to proving out the core value fast.
Totally.
Yeah.
And look, it's not about ignoring the rest of the PRD forever. Those details matter later. But for the prototype, you need that North Star.
That core value.
Yeah. And honestly, for everyone listening, if you've got a data product idea or a PRD lurking somewhere, maybe pause this.
Do it now.
Yeah. Take 5 minutes, run it through VBE. What's the absolute core problem, the must-have data, the key constraints, the success metric for a basic prototype?
That's a great practical step. Okay, so VBE give you the blueprint. What's next? You need data, right?
Exactly. You need the fuel for this prototype engine. Which brings us to the Minimum Viable Data Schema.
Right, and that word minimum is doing a lot of work there.
It really is. This is not your final production-ready data model. Don't even think about that yet.
And what is it then?
It's the absolute simplest data structure you need to actually demonstrate that value hypothesis you defined with VBE, just enough to make the prototype work and show the core idea.
Okay, simple as possible. How do you figure out what that looks like? Is there a process?
Yeah, I use a pretty straightforward 3-step process. Works well.
Lay it on us.
First, identify your critical entities. So for that marketing dashboard example, it was obvious. Campaigns, channels, conversions, the main things.
Makes sense. The nouns of your data story.
Kinda, yeah. Second, define the relationships between them. Keep it simple again. Like campaigns have many channels, channels have many conversions. One to many, mostly.
Don't overcomplicate the links for the prototype.
Exactly. And the third step, and this one is like super crucial, create realistic sample data.
Not just test 1, test 2.
No, please don't. Think about actual user scenarios. What would the data really look like? Populate your minimal schema with data that reflects those real situations.
That realism bit is so important, isn't it? Because that's what lets you actually test the user workflows you defined in your E, the experience outcomes, makes the prototype feel tangible.
Totally. It's the difference between wireframe and something that feels like it could actually work.
Yeah.
And shameless plug,
Yeah.
we actually built an AI tool that can help with this. Yeah, you feed it your Vago outputs, and it gives you a decent first draft of a schema and some realistic sample data. There's a link on the website if people want to check it out.
Handy. But what's the big mistake people make here? The pitfall.
Oh, the classic mistake is trying to include every single data point mentioned in the PRD in this first schema.
Right. It's in the doc, so it must be in the prototype trap doc.
Exactly. Your prototype schema should be lean, laser-focused on proving that core value. Resist the urge to boil the ocean.
That can really slow you down, can it?
Yes.
And just muddy the waters when you're trying to get clear feedback on the main idea.
Oh, absolutely. I learned this the hard way, trust me.
Okay.
On one project, ages ago, we were building this sales trend analysis tool, and we decided the prototype needed 2 years of historical sales data.
Oh, wow. 2 years for a prototype.
Yeah. Bad idea. We spent weeks just cleaning and wrangling that data. Weeks. The project almost died before we even showed anything.
Painful. So what did you do differently on the marketing dashboard?
We learned. For that prototype, we deliberately used just 2 months of data, and only across 3 main campaigns.
Much more manageable.
Way more. It was easily enough to show the core report generation, get that crucial feedback, and prove the value without getting completely bogged down in data prep hell.
That's a really powerful lesson. Minimal data for maximum learning initially.
Exactly.
Oh,
So now you've got your VIB blueprint, you've got your lean, mean, minimum viable data schema.
now the fun part, actually building something.
Yes, this is where it gets really exciting, I think. Because we're not just building the prototype, we're using the process, and specifically AI, to sharpen our product sense at the same time.
Right, you mentioned this earlier, that AI can help develop product sense, not just automate coding. How does that work? It's not something you're just born with, right?
It's definitely not. Think about it like a lawyer developing contract sense.
Yeah.
They get it by seeing tons and tons of contracts, right?
Yeah.
Working through clauses, seeing what works, what causes problems. It's exposure and practice.
So product sense is similar, built through exposure.
Exactly. You build it by seeing lots of product scenarios, understanding different user needs, seeing what solutions work. And generative AI, it can massively accelerate that exposure.
How so?
It lets you explore way more possibilities faster. It can simulate different user perspectives, generate alternative approaches, things that used to take ages or require huge teams. It gives you more reps, basically, more exposure to different angles.
Okay, I see. It's like an experience accelerator. So what are your go-to AI tools or techniques when you're in this building phase?
Well, there are a few that are really practical. First, don't overlook low-code visualization platforms.
Mhm.
Things like Streamlit, Plotly Dash, Observable.
Right, ways to get visuals up quickly.
Yeah, they let you build interactive charts, dashboards, even simple UIs without needing deep coding skills.
Yep.
Huge time saver for prototypes. We'll link some examples.
Good. And you mentioned AI-assisted code generation before, but with a twist. Product sense prompting.
Yes. This is where tools like ChatGPT or Claude become really interesting. The key isn't just asking, write code for X. It's how you frame the request.
Okay, so how do you frame it?
You embed your product thinking into the prompt. So instead of just asking for code, you'd say something like, okay, I'm building a data product that here's your value hypothesis from VIBE, for example, help sales teams prioritize leads. It uses mention your key data entities and relationships from your schema, e.g. deal history, engagement scores, lead source. Generate a mention your chosen framework. You can Streamlit prototype that describe the core experience outcome. Example, a sales manager filtering leads by predicted conversion score.
Okay, that's already much richer than just asking for a sorting function.
Right. But here's the product sense kicker. You add, additionally, identify potential user pain points I might have missed with this approach and suggest features to address them.
Ah, so you're explicitly asking the AI to critique your idea and think about the user.
Exactly. You're leveraging its ability to process vast amounts of text and patterns to act like a brainstorming partner, or even a red team for your product assumptions. It forces you to be clear, and that it offers perspectives you might not have considered, boosts the empathy part of product sense.
That's clever. It's not just code, it's critique and ideation, like having an AI co-pilot for product thinking.
Precisely. And you can take it further. Use AI to generate realistic synthetic test data that mimics specific user behaviors or edge cases, much better than random data for finding potential issues.
Okay, testing the boundaries.
Yeah. And then there's something called prompt orchestration, basically stringing multiple prompts together. Based on the prototype code you just generated. Now suggest 3 alternative ways a user might want to visualize this data, and then, okay, for alternative 2, generate the code. It helps you explore different paths quickly. Research actually shows this kind of AI brainstorming works.
So you're exploring the solution space much faster. Can you give us another concrete example where AI didn't just build, but actually shaped the product thinking?
Sure. Recently worked on a customer churn or prediction dashboard for a subscription business.
Common use case.
Yeah. My initial VIBE thinking was focused mainly on login frequency, feature usage, basic engagement stuff.
Standard metrics.
Right. But when I prompted the AI give the value hypothesis, support teams need early warnings about likely churn based on engagement. And the data points I had, the AI came back, suggesting we incorporate sentiment analysis from support tickets.
Ooh, interesting. Not just activity, but feelings.
Exactly. It wasn't in my initial minimal schema, but it made immediate sense. User frustration is a huge churn indicator.
Totally. So what did you do?
We decided to add it, even to the prototype. Then we used AI again, this time, to generate synthetic user journeys that included not just activity drops, but also shifts in support ticket sentiment over time.
And did that reveal anything?
It was fascinating. The synthetic data showed this recurring pattern. A noticeable dip in positive sentiment often happened about 23 days before the simulated cancellation.
Wow, a specific window.
Yeah, this 23-day danger zone. We immediately built that into the prototype, highlighting customers entering that zone and suggesting automated intervention steps for the support team.
That's a feature born directly from an AI insight, prompted by the synthetic data.
Absolutely. And the whole thing, initial idea, AI suggestion, synthetic data generation, building the core prototype with a danger zone feature took less than 2 days.
2 days. That's incredibly fast for that level of insight and functionality.
It blew me away too. It wasn't just acceleration, it genuinely enhanced the product thinking and led to a more valuable prototype.
That's a fantastic illustration, and I like your tip about keeping a product sense journal.
Yeah, just jotting down. AI suggested X, users reacted Y, my hypothesis was Z. It helps you see patterns over time, calibrate your own intuition against what the AI suggests and what users actually do. Builds that muscle.
Great advice. Okay, so the prototype is built, maybe incorporating some AI-driven insights. Now you need feedback, right?
Critically important. A prototype without feedback is just, well, it's just a guess.
And you mentioned a specific method, the feedback flywheel. How's that different from just doing a demo?
It's about making feedback structured, actionable, and iterative, rather than, that vague, so what do you think, at the end of a demo.
Which often leads to equally vague answers.
Exactly. The flywheel has 4 stages to avoid that.
Okay, let's walk through them. Stage 1.
Stage 1 is expectation setting. Before the demo, you ask your key stakeholders to literally finish this sentence. For me, this prototype will be successful if it demonstrates the sun.
Ah, so you're aligning everyone on the purpose of the prototype up front. What are we actually trying to validate here?
Precisely. Gets everyone on the same page about the goal. Stage 2 is guided exploration.
Guided.
Yeah. Instead of just clicking around randomly, you give stakeholders specific tasks or scenarios that directly test your core value hypothesis. For that marketing dashboard, it might be, okay, using this, find which channel had the highest ROI last month.
So they have to use it to achieve a goal related to the core value, not just passively watch.
Right. It focuses their attention and tests the experience outcome.
Smart. What's stage 3?
Stage 3 is structured feedback. This is where you collect their thoughts, but not just randomly. I use the RAD method. Reinforce, extend, discard.
Great.
You ask them specifically, what worked well? What should we reinforce? Then, what's missing or could be built upon? What should we extend? And finally, what was confusing, unnecessary, or didn't work? What should we discard?
Reinforce, extend, discard. That gives you really concrete categories for feedback. Much better than just, I liked it or I didn't like the colors.
Way better. It forces constructive, specific input. And then stage 4 is rapid iteration.
The follow-through.
Absolutely crucial. You have to commit to turning around the critical feedback quickly. Ideally, show changes within, say, 48 hours.
Wow, 48 hours. That's fast.
It has to be. It keeps momentum. It shows stakeholders their feedback matters, that the prototype is evolving, and it keeps them engaged. It completes the loop of the flywheel.
I can see how that would build trust and make stakeholders feel like partners. Have you seen this flywheel really change the dynamic?
Oh, it's been night and day sometimes.
Yeah.
I remember one project where things could have gotten really contentious in feedback, but using the flywheel,
Yeah.
because everyone agreed on the success criteria up front, stage 1, and the feedback was structured stage 3, it turned into this really collaborative session. Stakeholders weren't just critics. They started suggesting extensions that perfectly hit the core value prop. They became co-creators. It was amazing.
That's the ideal outcome, isn't it? Turning stakeholders into collaborators.
Totally.
Ugh.
Okay, so we've gone from PRD through VIDE, built a prototype with AI help, got structured feedback via the flywheel.
Yeah.
Now what? The big leap to production.
Right. Taking that validated prototype and turning it into a real scalable data product that users rely on day to day, that's often where things get tricky.
It really is. It's a major transition point.
Yeah.
And it's not just about scaling servers or rewriting code neatly. It involves some serious strategic decisions.
Like what?
Like, what parts of the prototype are actually solid enough to keep? What needs a fundamental rethink for production scale or reliability? How do you ensure the final thing really delivers on the promise the prototype showed? This is another place where AI can be surprisingly helpful.
How so? You used a customer segmentation tool example earlier. Let's revisit that. How did AI help bridge that prototype to production gap?
Right, so the initial prototype, built quickly, did basic customer grouping, maybe by purchase frequency and value, simple stuff.
Okay, prove the basic concept.
Yeah. But before just building that out, we used generative AI to explore like 8 different segmentation approaches.
Yeah.
RFM analysis, behavioral clustering, psychographic stuff, looking at website interactions.
A much wider range of possibilities.
Yeah, exactly. And the AI didn't just list them, it helped us outline the pros and cons of each, the trade-offs.
Yeah.
Like this simple RFM model, easy to build, easy for marketing to grasp, but it might miss subtle high-value niche segments. Whereas this complex machine learning clustering, it could find those hidden gems, but it needs way more data, more processing power, and it's harder to explain why someone is in a segment. It helped us weigh simplicity versus potential opportunity, data needs versus explainability.
So AI acted as a strategy consultant almost, helping you evaluate the different paths to production based on trade-offs.
Precisely. Then we used an AI-enhanced approach for the actual transition, kind of in 3 phases.
Okay, phase 1.
Phase 1 was the technical handoff. But instead of just chucking code over the wall or writing endless docs manually,
Which nobody reads.
right, we used AI to generate stuff.
Right.
Comprehensive data flow diagrams from the prototype logic. Business rule documentation written in plain English for the non-technical folks. Even what-if scenarios like, how should the system handle a customer with no purchase history? AI helped document the edges.
That sounds like a massive time saver and a way to reduce ambiguity. That's phase 2.
Phase 2 was AI-assisted stakeholder alignment. We knew different people cared about different things.
Sure, execs want ROI, engineers want architecture.
Exactly. So we used AI to generate tailored explanations of the chosen production approach. A short summary for execs focused on business impact. A detailed doc for engineers on architecture and integration. A guide for marketing on how to actually use the new segments in campaigns.
Personalized communication at scale. Very smart for getting buy-in.
It really helped get everyone on board. And phase 3 was progressive enhancement with AI testing.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means we didn't just throw the prototype away. We used AI tools to analyze the prototype code itself.
To see what was salvageable.
Yeah. To identify which parts were actually pretty robust and could be reused or refactored relatively easily versus which parts needed a complete rewrite for production scale.
So intelligent reuse, not just starting over.
Right. And the AI also helps simulate load testing. What happens if 10,000 users hit this segmentation endpoint at once? It helped find bottlenecks before they hit production.
That's using AI as a true partner in the engineering and decision-making process, not just a code monkey. Understanding what to keep, what to change, what to test.
That's the key insight, I think. It's kind of an open secret that lots of hugely successful products think early Instagram, maybe Airbnb's first recommendation engine started as somewhat hacky prototypes that got enhanced over time.
Right, they evolved.
What's different now is that AI can be this incredible product thinking partner throughout that evolution.
Yep.
It helps you make much smarter, data-informed decisions about what to keep, what to evolve, what needs adding for robustness. In that segmentation tool example, the AI analysis helped us justify keeping around 70% of the prototype logic with targeted refactoring.
70%, that's huge.
It saved weeks of unnecessary rework.
Yeah.
Because we had confidence, backed by the AI analysis, in what was solid.
Wow. Okay, so just to recap the whole journey for everyone listening, we started with the PRD, used the IDE framework to find the core.
Yep. Value, information, business constraints, experience outcomes.
Then created a minimum viable data schema, just enough data, but realistic.
Keeping it lean.
Leveraged AI not just for speed and prototyping, but also to actively boost product sense, asking it to critique and suggest.
Using prompts that embed product thinking.
Got structured user feedback with the Feedback Flywheel expectation setting, guided exploration, RD feedback, rapid iteration.
Making feedback actionable.
And finally, used AI as a thinking partner in the transition to production, evaluating options, documenting, aligning stakeholders, and testing smartly.
Helping make those crucial keep versus rebuild decisions.
It really paints a picture of a much more dynamic, intelligent, and faster way to build data products.
I really think it is. And the core idea, maybe borrowing from the Silicon Valley product group, is that this combination AI tools plus strong product sense doesn't just let you build the product faster. It helps you figure out the right product to build faster.
Finding product market fit more quickly.
That's the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah.
That's the real game changer.
Absolutely. So if someone listening wants to try this out, what's one simple, practical thing they can do today?
Okay, here's a concrete exercise. Take a data product idea you have right now, maybe one you're working on, maybe just a concept. Before you write a massive PRD, spend just 30 minutes with your favorite generative AI tool ChatGPT, Claude, whatever.
Okay, 30 minutes. What do they ask it?
Ask it 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
First, generate 3 different potential value hypotheses for a product that does your core idea. See what angles it comes up with.
Okay, different value props.
Second, describe 5 potential user personas who might use this product, focusing on their distinct needs and pain points. Push beyond your initial target user.
Explore the user landscape.
Third, suggest 8 potential features for this product and rank them roughly by implementation difficulty. Get a quick sense of the feature space and complexity.
Value props, personas, features difficulty in 30 minutes.
Yeah, then just compare what the AI generated with your own current thinking. Where does it overlap? What surprises you? What new angles does it suggest? It's not about the AI being right. It's about using it to stretch your thinking.
That's a fantastic, low-effort way to immediately apply this idea of AI as a product thinking partner. Should definitely spark some ideas.
I hope so. And if you do try it, I'd genuinely love to hear how it goes. Share your experience or insights, maybe on Twitter or LinkedIn. Use the hashtag AI Product Sense Mastery.
Hashtag AI Product Sense Mastery. Got it.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye out. Maybe we can discuss some examples next time. And don't forget, we've put companion resources on the website.
What's there?
The ViBE template, that AI prompt library we talked about, prompts designed to boost product sense, and those sample data generators, including the segmentation one. It's all there to help people get started.
Awesome resources. And what are we diving into next time? Give us a teaser.
Ooh, next time. We're getting even earlier in the process. We're going to explore how you can use AI to actually try and predict product market fit before you even build the first prototype.
Wow, the holy grail. Predicting fit beforehand.
We're going to explore how AI might help us get closer to it. It should be a really interesting discussion.
Definitely sounds like one not to miss. So, until then.
Yeah, the final thought is really, in this age of AI, the best product people are becoming rapid prototype builders who constantly use these tools not just to build, but to learn and enhance their own product sense. That's the path forward.